You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Talking about an early look at Virginia Tech, and the thing that really stands out about this matchup is obviously the quarterback duel. Kyron Drones is talented. He's super talented, right? We know that. Diego Pavia, we know what he is. He's a superstar and happens to be a hell of a quarterback as well. So this is an interesting thing. And as a quarterback, you need help. You need weapons. You need things around you to help you perform, right? And Kyron Drones has had that, but he hasn't been able to consistently utilize those weapons. And he has some pretty good weapons himself. But here's the thing about this. Here's the thing that's going to carry the Hokies this season. This is the thing I've been most impressed with. And this was the thing I was most impressed with on Sunday when I watched them against South Carolina, is their defense, right? And so here is kind of how I saw Virginia Tech here. They come into their home opener off a tough loss to South Carolina, have a bad taste in their mouth from last year's loss to Vandy. We talked about that as a motivational factor. I think Vandy's going to push right through that. Their offense moves the ball well. They have weapons, but can be inconsistent. Kyron Drones' decision-making is iffy. That's how I would describe it. All right, but the main point right now is this defense. They're stingy. They held South Carolina to 3.2 yards per carry, and they were able to get 4 sacks on Lenora Sellers. One of the promising parts for Vandy is, though, they struggled versus the tight end. So let's talk about that a little bit. When South Carolina was able to move the ball, and they did move the ball a little bit, when they moved the ball, they were able to do it in chunk yardage, and they were able to, at times, be able to push the ball vertically down the field, right? And this was a good game. This was an interesting game because I noticed that they struggled against the tight end. And here's the thing about Vanderbilt, if you don't know already, or if you're a Virginia Tech fan tuning in, Eli Stowers is going to be a problem for a lot of people. He's getting more healthy. And I just think that when you look at how to attack this defense, I think that's where the real struggle is going to be for Virginia Tech. I just don't think. And with Vanderbilt having now some legitimate speed and some legitimate options on the outside that you have to pay attention to, I don't think they can key in on Eli Stowers because somebody else is going to beat him if they do that. So you're left with a safety, or you're left with or even better, if you're left with a linebacker, which would be stupid, but you're left with somebody that I don't think is going to be able to handle Eli Stowers' athleticism. And that presents a problem for this Hokie defense. And so that's where, that's one of my more confident points about this game. And that's what I think is going to help elevate Diego Pavia's performance, is that he's going to have that weapon in Eli Stowers to go to either vertically down the field or over the middle or just some big chunk yardage. I think they're going to be able to move the chains a lot. I think they're going to be able to open some things up in the run game because of Eli Stowers and the matchup problem that he's going to create. Now, that's a real struggle point for their defense. But also, I think the 3.2 yards per carry for South Carolina, that's a concerning stat because Vanderbilt is such a running team. But I do think they're a little bit more dynamic in the run game because that's more of their philosophy. South Carolina is I think they're still trying to figure out what they are. Honestly, it felt like they were trying to figure out exactly what they are and exactly how they were going to attack because Sellers, he didn't look comfortable. And some of that was Virginia Tech's defense. And some of that was I just don't think they've really quite figured out just what they're going to be as an offensive unit. So Vanderbilt coming in, they know what they are. So that I think that's going to help them be more pointed in this attack. Now, some of Vanderbilt's guys they need to focus on, James DeJonkam. I think I said that right. I have no idea. Somebody correct me in that. Some Virginia Tech fans gonna from the top rope elbow drop me. But Kelvin Gilliam, I think they have a really good, strong defensive front. Those are just two guys that stood out. I could have named any set of names there from that front seven and could have landed on somebody pretty good. So Vandy's going to have their hands full with those guys, and that's to be expected. That's not a surprise here, and they're just going to have to play well up front. And in the run game, as I said before, this offensive line is built for the run, and they're going to be good. They're going to be solid. They're going to be, they're going to be dominant in that facet of the game. They pushed them around last year with a worse offensive line. I think Virginia Tech's gotten better on defense. I think their 2 coordinator hires are going to be good. Philip Montgomery is going to be good, but I just don't know if it's really set in just yet. Virginia Tech really offensively hasn't found their identity. Defensively, they've kind of found something, but I think there's, it's still developing, and it's something that, they should be excited about, and it's going to be good. I just, at this point, I just don't know how good. And Vegas doesn't know how good either, because this line is all over the place. But they do have the home field advantage. They do have all of that going for them. So for that, that's going to give them a slight advantage. But I just think that this offensive line is just, Vandy's offensive line, they do what they do so well that I think it's going to pose problems for Virginia Tech. And they're just going to avalanche him. Diego Pavia is going to be part of the run game. I think he's going to be a heavier part of the game plan. I think Seti's going to have a good game. Caleb Barnett on the jet sweep is a weapon that none of us knew was good, but it is. Trey Richardson as well. You're going to have some RPO stuff. Diego Pavia just looks so much more sure of himself in the pocket. He's so much more decisive. He's just there, man. He's just got it. And he hangs in there on his reads longer. He's more deceptive, and he's just there's levels to this offense that he's achieved with the continuity that it just poses problems for what I believe to be a really good Hokie defense. And they're going to make their plays, and that's going to happen. But I just think that they're going to struggle with Eli Stowers. They're just going to struggle finding balance. And I think Vanderbilt has a chance to really kind of put them on their heels a little bit. And the first half of last year's game was just Vanderbilt pushing them around all game long. And it wouldn't shock me for them to come out and do that again, because they have a bigger and better offensive line than they did last year. So it wouldn't shock me, like I said, to see them come out, power, counter, quarterback runs, outside zone, jets, all kind of stuff, short passes, slant, RPOs, bubbles, screen passes, stuff like that. I wouldn't shock me for them to come out and start pushing Virginia Tech around a little bit. They did so last year, and it was a worse roster. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a fun matchup. This team is good. I really like what Virginia Tech is doing. I really like what because they're onto something with their defense. I just don't know if they're quite there yet. So we'll see. But watch out for the matchup with Eli Stowers. That's going to be a problem for Virginia Tech, and it's going to be a huge bonus for Vanderbilt. So we're going to how does Vanderbilt defend a guy like Kyron Jones? Like what is it about this offense that Vanderbilt needs to watch out for? We'll talk about that next. Hey, we need some help because we have this little survey here that I meant to tell you about. But Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer the questions about our advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Speaking of helping, FanDuel. Hopefully my FanDuel picks, except for the Clemson one. The Clemson one I didn't do you any favors with, but hopefully they helped you. But the NFL season's almost here. FanDuel is here to make sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Man, I love using FanDuel because it fits how you like to bet. Player props. I love player props, building same game parlays, or even jumping in live action as it unfolds. All of that stuff, man, it makes it even more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick and easy, and it's best way to add a little more energy to any Sunday or any Saturday, really, if you like betting on college. So there's a lot of fun things to do within FanDuel, and they make it so fun and so easy to play. So I got a question for you. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel to place your first $5 bet. Now, college football's back. It's so back, man. Great first week. And I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout, all of that stuff. No, not for me. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple of taps, I saw amazing deals, man. I'm talking about just name a game, wherever you are. The Vanderbilt game, there was prices as low as $25. And, my favorite parts about the app are this, man. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before I bought it. I love zone deals. I pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thanks for watching Locked On Vandy. Remember, you can follow the show at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. You can follow myself at Coach Burton36. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Find us anywhere you find your podcast as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Anchor down. Peace out.